Stiller and Meara, Nothing Is Lost, is a new documentary that's currently out right now on Apple TV Plus, directed by their son, Ben Stiller. This documentary chronicles the life, career, and marriage of Ben Stiller's parents, Jerry Stiller and Meara. I got to learn a lot about their family, their marriage. First of all, I had no idea. I mean, I knew about Jerry Stiller to a certain extent because of Seinfeld, but I never knew that Ben Stiller's mother, Ann, and Jerry together, they were like this comedy duo that, they spent years and years together doing sketches, doing improv, doing comedy in general. At first, Anne wasn't too thrilled about comedy. She was more into being of a serious actor. But then somehow, comedy started to take over and she started to get comfortable doing comedy, and her improv skills alongside with Jerry was impeccable. The moment that they hit it off in terms of like getting notoriety was when they appeared in the Ed Sullivan Show, and the sketches that they made there, it took off. Their careers took off after that. For a lot of us, we'll mostly remember Jerry Stiller for his role in Seinfeld as Frank Costanza, which he was terrific. Ben and his sister, obviously they grew up part of the family business, but it was mostly Ben Stiller who went on to direct, to produce, act, and create all these films. And many kids, they always have this mentality of, I don't want to be like my parents, I want to do it differently, in the sense that Ben and his sister, they wish that their parents would have spent more time with them, especially Jerry Stiller. Spend more time with them, open up to them a little bit more when it comes to certain things. But then Jerry Stiller realized that he was doing the same thing to his kids that Jerry Stiller was doing to him, in the sense that, not in a bad way, but in the sense that because they're working so much and they're traveling, they're missing out a lot on their kids' lives, or they're not being around as much. So I found this documentary more of a feel-good documentary, emotional documentary. I didn't think this documentary was to demonize anyone. I didn't see it that way. Ben Stiller's parents, Jerry and Ann, they passed away already years ago. I looked at his documentary as paying a tribute, as a love letter to them. What was so fascinating about this documentary also is that Jerry Stiller, everything was recorded and documented. So they were searching through their old, Ben and his sister, searched through the old apartment where they grew up, and they found so many notes, notebooks, recording tapes. And that was another thing that when they started improving, Jerry and Ann, they did their first improv through a taping recorder or something like that. So there was just so many fascinating stuff that I saw in this documentary that I was like, man, there was a lot of things the old school way that I missed, that I enjoyed, like the tape recorders, being creative and just write everything on a notebook. Not too many people do that. I still collect notebooks to this day. I write everything, I journal everything. So there was just certain things about this documentary that I could resonate with. Well, I don't come from parents that that are in show business or anything like that, but film and sports is something that's always been a big part of me since I was little, and something that I love to this day. And like I said, this documentary, I highly you should recommend, you should watch it, because you get to learn so much about the Stiller family. And I almost forgot that Ben Stiller was married to Christine Taylor, because I always think about them in the movie Dodgeball. But I completely forgot, or I don't know, but it was almost like brand new to me, to think that they were a couple and they had two kids, they were married. They did separate at one point, but then the pandemic brought them together. So I like that Christine Taylor participated in this documentary, Christopher Walken participated in the documentary, and so many other names as well. But yes, I highly recommend you should check it out. This documentary, Stellar Meara, Nothing is Lost. Literally nothing was lost, because everything was collected, everything was there. So I'm really glad that Ben Stiller and everyone else who was involved in this project made it happen. So my review from 1 through 5, I give it a 4.4 out of 5 stars.